Hello and welcome to everyone. Thanks for taking the time out to join our Lunch and Learn webinar this afternoon. Today's session is called Monitoring the Impossible and Other Use Cases, brought to you by 2Steps Technology. Please note also, a few people who couldn't make it today have requested us to record today's session, so please be aware of that. And if you want to be edited out of the recording, just let me know. My name is Russ Townsend. I'm a head of sales at 2Steps. And just a bit about me, I've been involved with a range of different tech solutions over the past 10 or 11 years. And I'm genuinely excited about being on board with 2Steps because it's actually the first time I can say that we have a genuinely new, innovative breakaway from the status quo within this particular domain. So it's really fun to get out there and be able to talk to people about it. I also have here with me David Dick, monitoring expert and co-founder of 2Steps. Dave, would you like to say a few words to introduce yourself?
Thanks, Russ. Yeah, I've been in the monitoring game for about 15 years, starting off as a developer and going through to my current role in pre-sales.
Welcome to those who have joined us. I've already started off the welcome address. The purpose of the webinar today is educational. And I'll just give you a heads up about this, that this is not our normal stock standard sales pitch. It's basically come about off the back of the community of practice discussion, which was run by Hannon and Partners last February. Participants were very impressed with the new capabilities available through 2Steps, and a number of them expressed the desire to take a closer look and understand more about it. So that has been what's driven this particular design of this webinar. At the same time, we do have a number of participants today who didn't see that original presentation. So I'm also going to provide a very brief background and recap, so everyone is all caught up by the time when we get into the demo and the other parts. Speaking of which, I'm just going to share my screen now. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep, no issues, Ross.
All right, fantastic. So this is the basic agenda for the day, or for this session. Is first we'll go for a recap and a quick overview of what we're discussing here with 2Steps, then a very brief demo of the system itself, so people get to have a look at how that all works. And then in the last section, I'll bring on our main speaker, David Dick, to walk through the series of questions that was advertised in the invitation. And if you want to stick around at the end, we've got 45 minutes. If you want to stick around at the end, there'll be an opportunity for Q&A discussions, and we will stay as long as anybody needs. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Having mentioned that there'll be a Q&A at the end, I'll also mention that we're more than happy for anyone to jump in and ask any questions throughout any time of the presentation. Just raise a hand, type into the chat box, or jump in over the mic. Don't worry about interrupting our flow. We love the engagement. All right, so if everybody's happy with that, I will jump right in. Recap and overview. So for those who were at the Hannon and Partners demonstration back in February, you may recall seeing this particular slide, okay, where Hannon and Partners basically covered off in overview as an introduction to 2Steps, what they really wanted to highlight around the ease of use and ease of implementation of the system, the fact of its low cost, its ability to provide time-saving insights when diagnosing problems, and its usefulness in automating workflows. You'll see a number of the different types of features and aspects of the system there, but we'll be getting into a bit more of that quite shortly. So that's just a quick reminder for those who were at that previous session. But for those who were not, and who also may not know a huge amount about monitoring in general, I've got this very brief overview just to give you some context of what this technology is all about. So first of all, what is monitoring? So effectively, monitoring it effectively gives you a dashboard and visibility over your IT system. So just like you need a dashboard in your car, you need to know what's going on, whether you're running low on oil, running low on petrol, how fast you're going, whether the temperature is too high, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And in an IT system, it's just the same thing. You've got a whole bunch of metrics within the IT environment that you need to keep an eye on to stop yourself from breaking down. Right, so it's very important because also If you fail to have adequate visibility over your systems, then you're typically going to run out of petrol in an inconvenient place, or blow a head gasket, which I've actually done twice in real life, by the way. So I have a bit of experience with that. And it's actually much more expensive and much more problematic to go and get that car fixed, having it off the road, rather than being proactive and understanding the metrics and avoiding the whole issue in the first place. And so it is with IT systems. It's exactly the same problem. You don't want things to break down or blow up. You want to be able to head that off proactively. Otherwise, it can be very expensive, and businesses really literally do. It costs them millions of dollars, not just in the repair work, but the impact on customers, on people's lives. If you're in healthcare, for example, what to speak of the reputation of the organization. So, yeah, lack of visibility produces negative impacts. So then it comes to synthetic monitoring in particular, which technically 2Steps is classified under the banner of synthetic monitoring. Now, synthetic monitoring is one of a handful of different categories of monitoring, but it's the only one which proactively probes your mission critical journeys. Now, what do I mean by that? So represented here, we're continuing with the car analogy, represented here by driving through city streets. So in the same way, your users will go on to the websites that you have. So yeah, so your users go and use your website. So logging in, navigating to a location, let's say it's a bank, so they want to navigate to the statement section, be able to download that statement, maybe go and make a payment. All the various things, the critical workflows and journeys that they need to do. That's your internal customers, your staff on the systems, and also your external customers using your website. They all need to use those mission critical journeys, otherwise you're not delivering, and it has an impact to the business. So synthetic monitoring means training bots, digital bots, to go and run through those workflows on a regular basis to test to make sure they're up and running to performance and they're not broken, right? So that's what synthetic monitoring is, and it's the only form of proactive monitoring, so you can catch things at the earliest possible moment and minimize any impacts to your business. Where 2Steps differs, and it is truly a different solution, which I'll be getting into on the next slide, but it is a departure from standard status quo synthetic monitoring, which is why we like to say it's synthetic monitoring reimagined. And I've symbolized that here, as you can see, with a helicopter flying above the city. So what's so different about 2Steps? All right, so there are a number of different factors that make it quite different, but these are the 5 that I'd like to zero in on as being the most important for our customers. Firstly, the system is faster and easier than traditional synthetic monitoring with our elegant point-and-click interface, which enables tests to be built and maintained more quickly and easily. So literally, you can save 75 to 95% of the time that it takes to do the same tests using the old legacy manual coding approaches, like typically with Selenium. It gives you total visibility across all user interfaces, not just browser-based interfaces. So, and there's a range of different platforms there that you can see that are covered, that are not normally covered through traditional synthetic monitoring. And David will be talking about that in a little bit more detail in the second half. Because it's low code, no code, it's all out of the box, no technical skills required, no need to tie up your high skill resources. Anybody can learn in 3 hours how to use the system adequately. The video replay function is a big favorite. That basically means that the bots that we train actually capture a video recording of the faults when they occur. And so when it comes to root cause analysis, this literally saves the technicians hours in hunting around to try and find the problem. Our clients have called this feature alone to be pure gold. And then the in-house installation. This system doesn't require external connections to the internet or anywhere else. It sits completely within your IT environment, and it can be installed in just 2 or 3 hours. It's a really nice, quick, easy process with no added risk elements, and you can be up and running in 1 day. So those are the 5 key differences we'd like to highlight. They're among the most popular reasons why people really love 2Steps. Now I'm just going to switch across to my, so actually, sorry, I should have gone like this. Boom. Now the system demo. All right, and here we are looking at the login here we go. I just saw someone else that was waiting to come in. So logging in to the 2Steps platform. This is just a demo platform. But the first thing we see here is a dashboard. But I'm going to go straight to the synthetic test editor. And I'm just going to show you how easy it is to build a really simple, nice, easy little test. So I'm just going to give this one the name demo test. We're going to set the initial conditions, which is going to open up in Chrome. And we're telling it to, when it opens up to Chrome, it is going to navigate to the Google homepage. So press OK on that. And so now we have our initial condition set up. What we're seeing here on the screen is a, there we go, is a view through to on a virtual desktop. So on the left-hand side here, this is what the bot is seeing. And on the right-hand side, this is where you'll see each of the steps building up as I go through. So as you'll see, there'll be no coding involved in this. It's simple point and click. So I'm doing a left mouse click here, and you'll see this action builder has appeared with a number of different functions available on it. So input text, wait for an image, roll over with the mouse, optical character recognition, and so forth. Over here on the screen, you'll see these two blue boxes. The larger blue box is the targeting box, which is indicating to the bot what image on the screen we want it to look for. So just like a real person, they're going to be looking for that magnifying glass. And then in relation to that image which it would find, we want to tell it where to click into. So we want it to click into this box, this field here, next to the image that we just saw. And I'm going to tell it to put in the words 2Steps. Press go, and it will conduct that action. You can see that that's going in here as a step. And now I want it to press enter, carriage return. So for that, I need a right mouse click, the keyboard, and I'm going to go enter. Yes, there we go. And you'll see it performs that action. I'm then looking on the screen for the 2Step site, the link, the URL. We're going to go OK on that. So you can see I'm just pointing and clicking. It's conducting those actions as I go. I'm going to go here, book a demo. I'm going to click on that and press OK on that. It's going to go through. Oh, let me try that again. There we go. Book a demo, I see. Okay, there we go. So it picked up on that. And then finally, it's gone through onto the demo page. I just want to make sure that it's successfully loaded. So I'm going to use this image here inside the blue box as the success criteria for having loaded this page successfully. And we're going to say, wait for that image. So that's the complete test. It's a very nice little simple workflow which proves that, first of all, we've got connectivity. Google is working. I'm able to do a successful Google search, find our homepage, navigate to our homepage, navigate to the book a demo page. It confirms that the DNS and SSL certificates are available. So quite a lot going on in one little short test. The next steps on this would be to add checkpoints, which these checkpoints are give the timings in the report as to how quickly it's functioning. Because when you'll see in a moment, we'll go and have a look at the report, one of these reports, and that is the measures between how long it takes to navigate through these different items. So you can see whether the flow is operating, not just whether it's broken or not, but whether it's operating to standard. It's already got a name, so we can press save on that. The last step would be to schedule it. So obviously we want this test to run at a certain frequency, and there are a range of different options there where we can have, whatever number of minutes we want it to go for. We can change that it's not always, we only want it every 5 minutes on weekends. That would apply to the head office. So we can set that. Then on the weekends, we can say, okay, on the weekends, we only need it to go every 10 minutes. So we do the same thing there, but we do it in reverse for Saturday and Sunday for head office. And then I might want to say, well, when it comes to the branch office, we only really need it to go every 15 minutes, and we'll do that year round. So a very simple but powerful scheduling tool there that we can basically get it to do anything that we want. There we go. So there you got the schedule. And then you can simply save that and away you go. So you can see it's very simple and easy for anybody to build these tests. To do this test in Selenium would probably take at least half an hour, and you'd have a highly skilled person doing it, and obviously they'd be paid more money than, you know, like a graduate or someone else that you might, or a business analyst that you might have doing the same sort of thing. Last thing on this one is for the purposes of maintenance on these, you can actually roll over these numbers and see the initial condition. It was a screenshot that was created at the time. So if you come back and you want to do maintenance on this test in a year's time, in 2 years' time, you can actually see what things look like at the time, and therefore adjust accordingly for the new thing, for the new script. All right, so now I'm going to, I have to just hit a little refresh here. I'm going to move out of that now. We'll delete that test because we don't need to keep it. And as I mentioned, I'll just go back to the dashboard, and I'll just show you really quickly. So each of these icons here, these represent the results of various tests which are being conducted by the system, and the results that are cumulative over the past 24 hours. So we can see here, there's been a bit of an issue on this particular test. And there you have it. You can see at 3:10 a.m. there was a problem with one part of this test. You can see there's a baseline there where everything seems to be functioning. These are the different checkpoints that I just mentioned earlier, right? The timing between each step along that test. This one failed, so I can click in here, and you can see, okay, the Sydney component failed. So if I want to have a look at that, this is the one that I mentioned earlier, is our clients consider to be pure gold. You actually can look at a video replay of what occurred at the time. Now, in the interest of time, I'll just mention here, as it goes through, you can see what the bot was seeing. You've got like this subtitle here that shows you the name of each step on that test that it was conducting at the moment. And in brackets, you've got a tick there to say it was successfully passed. And I'm just going to zoom ahead, when we get to the 30-second mark, 32-second mark or something like that, you'll see that, it's got a cross after it here, and this is the point where it bombed out. So you can actually see exactly what happened, the error message that came up, and this is very useful, particularly for intermittent problems. The video itself also has a lot of other benefits, like you can actually download the video and save it, and you can share it with your external partners or other people within the business. So it becomes that shared means of communication that anybody can understand. So look, there is a lot more to this system, but I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of a taster as to what the two-step system's all about. Some of its key features: the simplicity of use, the reporting function. What I didn't touch on just now, actually, and I'll just say very quickly, we also have the HTTP resources here, any screenshots that would have been taken, as well as the raw JSON to plug into your reporting system. So there's a lot of capability in that as well. But as for the demo, that's about all that I wanted to cover today on that section. So if there aren't any particular questions or comments that anybody would like to jump in with at this point in time, then I'll hand it over to David, and he can take us away with those key questions that we discussed earlier. I take the silence as an implicit urge to proceed. So, David, you're on. Do you want to unmute yourself?
Yep, no issues, Ross.
All right, so we're on to the discussion points. For those who got the invite, you would have seen, I'm not going to read through all these because we're going to do them one at a time, but these were the questions that we advertised about. So we've got our monitoring expert here, and it's a great opportunity to pick his brain and get into some of these things in detail. So first question, David, what platforms are traditionally difficult to monitor?
Thanks, Russ. Okay, so existing monitoring providers focus on the big big parts of the market. So most applications nowadays are web-based applications. So most monitoring platforms are designed to focus exclusively on web applications. Where 2Steps makes things different is its ability to be able to focus on platforms that aren't web-based. So for example, legacy Windows applications. So a number of large organizations will have still Windows-based applications. So be it a legacy ERP system or an integration with Microsoft Outlook. They've still got Windows require integration with Windows for. So other ones that are traditionally hard are VDI platforms. So Citrix, Horizon, Azure Virtual Desktop. These are all platforms that allow remote workers access into an organization's LAN efficiently and securely. So when there's issues with those types of platforms, a really good way of looking at the application flow within VDI is with 2Steps, as we'll discuss later. Thirdly, we've got mainframe type applications where support teams need to log on to mainframes to check jobs, to conduct the status of finished jobs. These types of operations, once again, because 2Steps is just using a point and click and visual automation, it's just as easy to do mainframes as web applications. And then finally, terminal applications. So same Unix, Linux type operations, no problems. OS X, things that you can access via RDP or VNC, no problems. A really good way of thinking about things that are difficult to do is to think of what your staff are doing on start of day checks. Okay, these are often the operations which people are unaware that they can automate, so they need to require a human to spend their time every day checking. With 2Steps, you can automate these start of day checks and get back the time that these employees are spending on checking things, such as, are my printers working? Are my file systems up and running? So yes, these are traditionally the things that we would regard as our customers telling us. These are the ones they find difficult to monitor, and 2Steps can do it.
A quick question for you there, Dave. Why are these other types of these non-browser based applications so much more difficult to monitor?
Okay, Ross. So as I said, the existing monitoring platforms are designed to look at HTML and to look at the components of a web-based application. So once you've removed them from a web-based application, they're completely out of their depth. Where there's 2Steps, by focusing on simply the visual interface that's presented, it doesn't care what's under the visual interface. It could be a Java application, it can be an advanced HTML5 application, whatever it is. We don't care. We're just looking, as the human does, what's appearing on the screen.
Yeah, right. All right. Excellent. And once again, anybody feel free to jump in with any questions as we go here. You're more than welcome to throw your own questions up. But if we covered that one enough, we'll move on to the next one, shall we?
Sounds good.
Yep. All right. So next question is, what IT issues are most difficult to predict?
Okay, so when it comes to predicting IT issues, there are a number of different classifications that we can look at. So traditional monitoring tools were very good at predicting some types of issues. So for example, running out of disk space or tracking a memory leak and identifying that, yes, look, this server is running out of memory. So those types of issues have always been very easy to identify. What's been happening recently is a number of monitoring vendors are coming out with AI tools where they're noticing that a application might have a problem and then tying it back to a particular infrastructure metric out of the hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of infrastructure metrics they have, and using AI to say, look, this particular infrastructure metric is going out of its normal bounds at the same time that we're having an outage. Therefore, we predict that when this infrastructure metric goes out of bounds, this will mean the application fails. Now, that's obviously extremely cool, but it does have limitations, primarily for the fact that once you've upgraded your application or you've moved to a new platform, all of your prior learning that the AI platform depends on has been invalidated. So you need to retrain the bot every time you upgrade. And finally, as we're talking about, some issues are impossible to predict. So people are migrating to SaaS type platforms or increasingly integrating SaaS platforms into their user experience, there is absolutely no way to be able to predict the problems that a supplier is going to be having as they push across their IT platforms into yours, or they integrate into your solution. And other ones that we often see are mistakes being made by human operators. So a mistake, for example, being made during a patch rollout. So it's a mistake. There's no way a tool can predict that a human being is going to do that. However, where synthetic monitoring comes into the fact is because, as Russ was saying before, it's constantly exercising all of these workflows, it will detect the fact that a failure has happened, that a SaaS platform has not producing the correct results, that your newly patched platform is not working correctly, by exercising these workflows and looking at the results and alerting you minutes after the issue has occurred, instead of, say, a patch rollout at 2 a.m. in the morning and the system stays broken until 9 a.m. when your staff arrive.
Right. Okay. Do you mind if I jump in with a little further question there,
Yeah,
Dave?
go for it.
So what I'm getting out of this is that that the predictability, or the fact of unpredictability, I guess the uncertainty is the only certainty, right? You know for sure you're never going to be able to completely predict all problems that may arise, but with synthetic monitoring you can make sure that you minimize the impact of those problems when they do arise. Is that sort of the main point of this?
Absolutely. So you got
Yeah.
ranges of predictability, but you're always going to have some problems which you can't predict. And synthetic monitoring is your backup plan to make sure that you can detect it as soon as possible.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. Cool. Next, what blind spots does 2Steps resolve for?
Okay. So when you're looking at the various components of an IT system, any of these components can fail. So you might have an issue where you might have a system that involves a web server and a database server and maybe a file system, and that's it. So you need to make sure that all three of those components are working to make sure that the overall system is going to be producing the results that your users expect. So that's fine, but as systems continue to increase in complexity, more and more components need to be monitored. You need to check all of your network interfaces. You need to check all of your file systems. And SSL certificates have a nasty habit of creeping in where they're least expected. Now, the two choices here are, one, perfectly understanding your systems and everything that's got to do with it. But not all IT departments have this luxury, especially when you've conducted a merge with another system, you've upgraded to a new system. Lots of times you're going to be caught, there's the case of, it's very difficult to actually get perfect knowledge of your system. Now, 2Steps, because it's always exercising everything that the user is seeing, it will detect the fact that, say, for example, an SSL certificate has expired guarding your database, okay? Because queries to the database will stop working. So 2Steps will not identify the fact that you've got these blind spots, but it will detect them and alert you as soon as possible, okay? On a similar nature, once again, we're just going to talk about the problems of SaaS. SaaS problems by themselves are a huge blind spot for organizations. Okay, it's very, very hard to get any observability data from a SaaS platform. So I think those, Russ, would be the major areas where I consider blind spots for current IT departments where 2Steps can help out.
So how common is it for IT departments to have these kinds of, given these kinds of blind spots, given that, there's a lot of smart people out there and they're going to be aware of these things. I mean, how many of them actually go, well, we can't deal with it, or don't want to or can't tolerate it, or aren't doing anything about it?
Russ, my experience has been that the IT guys, unfortunately, don't have complete control over their environments.
Mm.
Sometimes management merges with another company. Sometimes their SaaS platform, either upgrades or does something that they weren't aware of. It's not a matter of, sometimes the IT guys themselves have the luxury where they've developed the entire platform themselves and have perfect knowledge of everything that works there. But lots of times you have a small team that they're underpaid and under-resourced, and it's very difficult. And Steve, how does 2Steps compare to Login VSI? That is an excellent question. So I don't have direct experience with Login VSI. However, I've had multiple customers in the United States talk about automating workflows with Login VSI. And from my understanding of it, it's a programmatic interface where you need.
Sorry, Dave. I was just going to say, maybe you can just explain what VSI is for everybody.
So Login VSI is another product in the monitoring space that can be used for synthetic monitoring. Once again, my understanding of it, I've never used the tool before. My only interface with it has been through customers talking to me through their experience. So Login VSI allows you to automate a user journey by programming it. So a programmer is required to set up the actual journey itself, to investigate the user workflow and to set it up and to maintain it. The core advantage that 2Steps offers, as Russ was showing before, is just that ability to point and click and have a non-programmer, an expert in the system rather than in programming, to be able to set up the workflow.
Right, and you're better off having those product owners doing it because they have the intimate knowledge rather than
Yes.
a monitoring generalist, right?
Okay, so certainly our customers have fed back that they much prefer to focus on the business functionality of the system rather than worrying about the underlying technical aspects of how the system is put together.
Yeah, very good. Any other questions? Thanks for that question, Stephen, as well. That's good to come in. Any other questions before we move on? No. Okay. Well, I'll go to the next one. We've got here. Okay. Yes. So tell us about the new advances in monitoring virtual desktop infrastructure. It's quite an exciting area, and we've seen a lot of customers and other people very excited about this. So, what can you tell us about that, Dave?
Indeed. Well, just going on to our previous points of having that 2Steps ability of being able to point and click and treat an interface as a visual artifact rather than the underlying technical components. A VDI environment, say Citrix or Horizon or Azure Virtual Desktop, has traditionally been very, very difficult to monitor. 2Steps allows you to monitor these application workflows inside the VDI environment. VDI often gives you infrastructure monitoring for the VDI environment itself, but not, for example, if you're running PeopleSoft against an Oracle database inside Citrix. You can monitor Citrix, but you can't monitor the PeopleSoft experience or the Oracle experience. Yeah, so just that ability to be able to sort out, 2Steps gives you the ability to be able to sort out application issues as distinct from the platform issues. Stephen, if business,
Stephen's question, if business owners can set up their own tests, is there a central repository framework that can be programmatically driven?
Okay, so I'm hoping that I'm answering the right question here, Stephen. So the 2Steps tests themselves are stored on the file system of the 2Steps server. So that can be easily integrated into a central repository. Secondly, the 2Steps tests themselves that you saw Russ building, those checkpoints can also be shared, pushed and pulled between different tests. So if, for example, you've got a common mechanism for logging onto your VDI environment, so yeah, this is the sequence of steps you need to log into Citrix, then 2Steps allows you to share that checkpoint of login to Citrix amongst dozens or even hundreds of tests. I'm hoping that answers your question, Stephen.
So for VDI, then how would you compare the capabilities that Nerdio provides in this area?
Okay, once again, Stephen, I'm not sure. I don't have a lot of direct experience with Nerdio. So my understanding of it, though, is that they provide a infrastructure view of the VDI environment. So they'll be able to tell you how many nodes are in the farm, how much CPU is being used, how many clients are currently connected to the farm. But what they won't be able to tell you is to go back to that previous experience, they won't be able to tell you that customers are currently complaining that Citrix is down, but what is actually happening is PeopleSoft is having a failure due to an Oracle connection.
Okay. All right, and we've got a message from David Brennan here as well, noting that this platform excels on interfaces that aren't HTML driven. Would this solution deliver value to customer designing web apps on Shopify, or does Shopify already have adequate monitoring?
That is an excellent question. Thank you for that. So I would say that to simply check on a single web page, there are freely available solutions that would allow you to do that. What 2Steps gives you though is the ability to be able to log into a workflow, to be able to exercise all of the components. So Shopify, for example, doesn't usually focus on just one application. It focuses on integrating a number of workflows to say, look, here is my credit card vendor, here is my email vendor, here is my database. You're looking at a large number of components or integrations. And 2Steps is awesome from that point of view in that it easily allows you to just point and click on which sections on the screen are really important to you, and you need these things to happen. I need this pop-up to appear. I need this warning to appear. I need to receive this email. Okay, these are the types of results that 2Steps can grant you. And once again, in a very non-technical, focusing on the business flow more than the technical aspects of it.
Wonderful. All right, so we've got two more questions to cover off, Dave. So we better move on.
Yep.
But yeah, look, loving the questions, guys. Keep them coming if there's anything else you want to dig into. So second last question. So now, what about edge case monitoring? When I first heard this term edge case monitoring, I was a little, I didn't know quite what that meant. But we're really talking about marginal cases or special cases. So what can you tell us about that?
Okay, thanks, Ross. So this goes back to the previous point of talking about start of day checks. So things that traditional monitoring tools find difficult. So for example, focusing on HTML as modern monitoring applications do, it neglects the fact that the advanced HTML5 apps don't really use HTML anymore. They use things like the canvas tag to construct, say, Google Maps or other types of highly dynamic content. Now, once again, if you've selected your monitoring tools to just only allow native or basic web apps, this is going to be a restriction moving forwards. So with 2Steps, because it's a visual, concentrating on the visual aspect of it, it will allow you to keep going. And also with the other edge case or special cases I've had experience with is those types of workflows that actually interact with the underlying operating system that you're using, such as a web application that logs in via your SSO credentials from the operating system. So you've logged into Windows, you open up your web browser, and it's magically already logged into your corporate applications. So that type of dependency, very easy for 2Steps to do. Stephen, yes, we can absolutely monitor with AWS Workspaces. We don't have any customers yet that we're doing that for, but if you would like to present me with one, I'll be very happy to demonstrate the capabilities.
Beautiful. All right, and we're doing well with time. So last question. So this is a kind of a debate that I've seen crop up from time to time throughout the years, is this whole discussion about having a single vendor solution versus a multi-vendor solution. This applies to many different realms, but in particular, what's your take on that, David, in relation to overall monitoring strategy?
Well, I think it's something that monitoring customers are going to find, that when they go out to vendors, a number of vendors are positioning themselves as all-in-one type solutions. And how they do this is usually monitoring vendors have got a core competency. They started off doing one thing. For example, application performance monitoring, injecting code into your application servers and instrumenting what's happening. And then they expand. And typically they expand by grabbing a open source or free components, bundling it into their own tool, and then saying, we cover this area as well. Now, what I think is something that customers need to be aware of is that idea of what everyone wants is to provide a single dashboard, single network operations screen that they can look at all their data on one dashboard, but they can get that dashboard by selecting best of breed vendors to say provide the very best synthetic monitoring, for example, and pushing that data into a common platform. So rather than getting a substandard solution that's been tacked on by a all-in-one vendor, to go out and have a look at the market and say, I want log file monitoring, I want infrastructure monitoring, I want some APM, and I want synthetic monitoring. Let's go and get the very best that the market can provide for us. Focusing on that value rather than, look, I only want to deal with one vendor. Because there are substantial, as we've been talking about today, there are substantial differences between the vendors and what they're offering.
So what you're saying as well, Dave, in between the lines there, I guess, is that no one single vendor can do everything to the greatest degree. They're going to have various strengths, and it's much better to combine those strengths and get an overall best of breed solution.
Absolutely, Russ. And I think our experience of getting customers all around the world finding us specifically for synthetic monitoring speaks to that effect of, yes, monitoring vendors, all of them have their specialty that they're good at. And some of them say they can do other things, and they can, but usually on a very, very basic level. So it's a good idea to, from a customer point of view, keep your eyes open and have a look to what you actually need and can get in the market.
So I can imagine that a lot of organizations out there would make the counter argument that oh, it's just easier to work with one vendor. It's one invoice. It's one contact person. It just simplifies the whole process, and overall, it's cheaper because there's economies of scale because we're giving them more of the business. So, what would be your response to that?
And I think there is truth in that. For the short time that you're involved in actually doing the procurement, yes, it is most definitely easier to procure from one vendor than multiple vendors. The only problem is it's the rest of the year where your staff are bearing the problems of restricting yourself to substandard tools.
All right, touche. So that brings us to the end of the questions. Thank you very much for that, David. I'll just click over to here. This is our contact details. Obviously, we're more than happy to discuss with anybody about their particular needs. If you'd like to have a more one-on-one or sort of individualized discussion around your specific needs and how it might apply to us, then feel free to reach out. You can see our contact details on the screen. We will stick around for any further discussion if anybody wants to have a chat right away. But otherwise, thank you very much for coming today, and it's been our great pleasure.